note something about this toxic parenting. The fact is that most older generation parents see that as a sign of respect when your kids are actually scared of you, and I can say something and you have to do it. Now, if you remove that from our current contemporary culture, now how are parents expected to gain that respect from their children or wards? Or is it better to get, instead of respect, perhaps maybe trust?
You see what the host there said, the gentleman asking the questions. He was saying some parents, they expect that one of the ways you show that, or they will confirm that you have respect for them, is that you are afraid of them. The gentleman, Femi Shofoluwe, had to respond to him by talking about the fact that a child respecting you, it's not automatic. You can't demand for it. So I also talk about things like that in the contribution I'm going to make at the end of this second excerpt. When I finish talking now, you're going to hear the rest of what Femi said in response to this man's prompt. Okay, then after that you're going to hear the full submission I make, which I had already recorded before, on the theme of respect and the fact that people thinking that because they are older than you they automatically deserve respect is ridiculous, and I address it with a lot of examples from real life. So, but I really just want to quickly slot this in here, that this issue of thinking that a child showing fear of you is a sign that the child respects you is misguided. Let me tell you why. Fear is evidence that the child believes something will happen to him or her if he or she does not do what you want. That does not connote respect. That's not the same thing as respect. You see, because like the Femi says quite correctly in his own response, which you will hear, if you want proof that somebody respects you, it has to be something that the person gives to you. You don't demand respect. And I said that in my first video on respect, way before I ever had to do a reaction to this particular video. I have a video I did on respect where I talk about the fact that you cannot demand respect. You command respect. And how do you command respect? Femi touches on it too. You actually conduct yourself in a manner that actually makes people that relate with you automatically realize they have to give you respect. And they show respect for you by differing to you in their relationship with you. So for instance, even when they are not happy and they are feeling aggrieved and they feel like arguing and all that, when it comes to you speaking to them, maybe you want to now intervene. At that point in time when they say, oh, it's Mr. Tayo, you see that the way they behave and respond is completely different from the way they respond to somebody else who is actually their peer, who they probably don't feel they need to respect, all that. Because respect has to do with somebody believing that it should accord you some consideration beyond what they would normally accord any other person, because they feel that you are worthy of it. That means you have behaved in a manner that makes them value your seeing them in a positive light. They want you to look at them in approval. They want your approval. So because they value you and they have high opinions of you, they want to also act in a manner that makes you approve of them. So that is what respect means. So if you want your child to respect you, you have to be a role model that makes the child feel that way. You have to conduct yourself in a way that makes the child feel naturally that it should give you that respect. How can you get respect? Like I've given examples in my previous video. When you're touching the girl's breast, she may be 5 years old or 10 years old, but if she's been taught how to protect herself from abuse and she knows you're not supposed to touch her private parts, and then you begin to poke your fingers in different parts of her body, you automatically lose the respect. She has every right to talk to you however she pleases, especially because she knows you do not have a right to touch her in that manner. You cannot then wake up tomorrow and say, I'm older than you, you've got to respect me. When you've been misbehaving, I use this quote, this saying, Yoruba saying, Agbalagba to nse langba langba. And I think the problem is that in our society, the culture is such a culture where, I said in Nigeria particularly, abuse has been so normalized. So the use of force, the use of threats, is actually normalized in many societies, especially in Nigeria. So people use threats and force and violence to exert compliance from people, and then they want to call it respect. The teacher in the school feels that by flogging the student will respect it, but they're not respecting what you're doing. You are behaving like a slave driver. The slave resents you, but knows that because you have more power, he or she cannot really do so much to defend him or herself. So that enables you to keep him or her under control. But let's assume that there's a place where you're on an even playing field. He or she knows there's not going to be any consequences, or there's an opportunity to escape after whatever she might do. Wait and see whether that person will still show exercise the same restraint. That's when you know whether the person has respect for you or whether the person has been afraid of you. Two different things. But what we do here is that we inflict pain and suffering on people to get them to behave the way we want to comply, and then we translate that to mean that we are making them respect, or they're not respecting you. They're afraid of you, but they're afraid of you in a manner that makes them resent you. The day the opportunity will present itself, they will teach you a good lesson or tell you off in a manner that will wake you up and make you realize you never had respect. Respect is not the same thing as fear. They are two different things, So I wanted to say that because I saw the way the host was saying it, and I agree with him. That was what many parents believe. And when we were young, it was quite commonplace for when you had the kids, when they had that their father, especially the fathers, were arriving home. Oh my God, all the kids would just go under the chair. I remember when we were young. This is the truth. Oh man, we would just scream, and everybody, well, whoever has to go and open the gate, to go and open the gate. But the rest of us, hey, let us come. Why should children be running away to hide under the chair and the table when they come? It doesn't make any sense. So it's associated with showing respect. Actually, you should be afraid of the father. Quite often it's the father that children behave like that too. Now, not to brag, but this one experience I used to have, which I always point out to people as an example, was that when I was based in Cotonou, when I started living in Cotonou initially in 2000, and first time I moved to Cotonou was 1st of April 2013, right? And I did not come home for 6 consecutive months. I didn't step foot in Nigeria. But when eventually I began to do better and I began to make money, and I think the deputy ambassador gave me, he became my client and gave me his private car with a driver. And he brought me to Nigeria, and I had to come and see my family before we went to Ekiti State to do the job for him. I remember the minute I stepped foot in the house, and then subsequently I started coming home regularly. Each time I arrived, because I was coming and bringing stuff, whatever. If I arrived, like the minute I stepped foot in the house and the kids heard my voice, they would all rush out and come and embrace me. And that's it. You see, the thing is, the response to my arrival was not one where everybody was cowering in fear and running away and say, hey, yes, come. They would always come out to meet me every single time. That's proof that they are not afraid of you. But there are people who, when they arrive at home, the children disappear until they are called by that parent. That's the old culture. That's what Femi was referring to about the fact that some parents are toxic, because the only consciousness that the kids have of you is one in which you are a source of discomfort to them, and that's not respect. That they avoid you is not a sign of respect. So we need to change that orientation, and that's why I spent so much time kind of talking on it, because I felt it was a very powerful point, and it was needed to kind of have a reaction just slotted in right immediately. Now you're going to listen to the rest of Femi's response, right? Like an excerpt of it anyway. I don't know how long it is, but there's an aspect of what he said I wanted to make sure you heard. Then you can check in the description box for the link to watch the full video. It's on the TVC channel. Just get the link and click on it in my description box below. Then you will listen to my own podcast, the one I recorded before I saw even this video. I just decided, okay, this new second, kind of like a sequel to my first video on respect, it just agrees with this one, so I'm just slotting it in and making it to be the final section of this video you can listen to. All right, so, and then you hear what I have to say about all these people talking about age and demanding respect. It's a lot of rubbish. Respect will not be given to you because you are older than that person. Respect will be given to you if you are deserving of it. And I've had people in my life who are much older than I am talking to me about respect when they were busy misbehaving massively. You're going to hear me talk about it. if you're listening to this and you are older than me, forget it all. I've taught my kids the same things, and some people don't understand. That's why I gave my kids the right from when they were born. I made it clear to every child I had. From the very first day my children could speak, they never called me daddy, they called me Tayo. I said it because I realized that these people that go around saying that because they are older than you must respect them, one of the things they use to intimidate you is the culture. The culture forces you to have to show respect. Even when the man is misbehaving, stealing public funds, you still have to show respect. By the time you're trying to correct him, he starts reminding you he's older than you. You are older than me and you are stealing money that is belonging to all of us. You are not doing the job that we voted you in for, and you are telling me to respect you. You don't deserve any more respect. The point at which you lost the right to ask for respect or expect respect was the point at which you began to misbehave. Because you should be the one teaching us how to behave. The elders, it is said in the Yoruba language that the elder cannot be in the market and the head of a baby will be bent on the mother's back in the market. Elders are people that correct wrongdoing. That is the way the African culture was built. Was set up. But today, elders are the ones misbehaving and they're still demanding that we maintain tradition. We cannot do that. If you don't want to behave traditionally as an elder and do what is expected of you to as role models in society, then we are going to give it to you in a manner befitting of a person that is behaving in an unbecoming manner. Period. You are behaving in a manner unbecoming of an elder will give you treatment that is befitting of such behavior. It's as simple as that. So let me let you go on, and then after this section in which Femi replies, then you hear the rest of my thoughts on this. Cheers.
You see, I'm very happy you touched on that issue. Most parents in Africa, we want to have the respect that we do not work for. Like you said, respect is earned. It's not something you hijack from people. You don't go about begging people to respect. In fact, most parents, they tell their children, you have to respect me. For what? Because I'm your father.
Yes.
That is not enough reason. Do you tell everybody around the world, because you are older than them, they need to respect you? Do you tell Dangote to respect you just because you are older than him? Where is the result? Where are the proofs? Where are the things that fetch you that respect? As a parent, if you do your due diligence and love your children the way you should, they will respect you. And I'm going to cite an example which I didn't even actually plan for. When I was a child, I was a dullard, to be sincere. When I say dullard, I mean a very terrible one at that. I used to copy my name into exam hall so that at least if I fail everything, I don't want to miss my name. I don't want them to be looking for who score zero again. So, and my parents, they were very terrible. I mean, they're terrible parents in that way. They don't like it, and they were punishing me every now and then. Then there came an uncle in my family from US, Uncle Yinka, I will not forget. And this man showed me love. Okay? And he told me, Femi, you know what? He bought me a lot of things when he was coming. And he said, your next exam, if you pass, I promise you I'm going to get you more things. That sounds like bribe anyway. But then I could see love. That is, for a child, that is communication of love. At that point, I didn't want to fail again. Not because anything has changed, but because I don't want to disappoint the person who loved me so much.
Yes.
If parents love their children enough, they will gain their respect with ease, without having to beg for it.
My next question is...
Yeah, and this is where I end my use of his material. Yes, what he said here is perfectly correct. Femi is right when he says, if you show love to your kids, they will respect you. However, I need to add another perspective so people can always remember it. There are always exceptions to the rule. Now, if you happen to have a situation in which you are having issues with your spouse, and you happen to have a spouse who is a narcissist, okay, and therefore who chooses to use your children as a weapon against you by manipulating them emotionally and psychologically, one of the ways it can disrupt the relationship you are trying to have with the child with regard to getting respect is when the child begins to get groomed to turn against you. So this has happened to me. This was one of the problems I had with my ex-partner, where she would deliberately push and pressure the children to disobey me, even when it was clear that it was not in the best interest of the child to do so. Because there was never a time when I was misbehaving in a manner that made it necessary for the children to obey me. So I never had issues with the kids. But the minute we began to have our problems, and I got to the point where I said, enough of this. I'm going to seek to break up with you. I've had enough of all this drama, and you will not destroy my life. I'm going to look for a way to separate myself from you. Then we can jointly agree on how we want to rear the children that we both had. Now, from then on, she began to actively groom the kids to work against me. And one of the things she did was to make sure that she pushed them to disobey me at every opportunity that presented itself. There were times, many times, when most of the kids would not want to do it. But over time, she worked on them till every single one of them, with only 2 exceptions, began to do it. So what I'm saying is that, yes, under normal circumstances, you can get respect from your children. But when you are having conflict in the home with your partner, and your partner is not somebody that has maybe because she's not narcissistic. Again, I use the word because it's important for people to understand that there are some people who cannot help being what they are. A narcissist has been damaged from before they met you, most likely. So the behavior you are seeing is not a behavior that began because they came to meet you. They've been like that. Something happened to them in their own developmental phase. When they were growing up, something happened to cause them to be like that. So when they come to you, they come already damaged. And by the time you're interacting with them, they begin to act it out. So you get, whatever you get is what you just have to deal with. And quite often you have no means of correcting it because the narcissist cannot change. So your children will now be used as weapons against you. Under such a circumstance, you cannot expect the child to behave normally. Internally, the child will know, oh, I love this man, I love this woman, I love my mother, I love my dad. But the other partner is pushing the child to do something else. And it now depends on where the child thinks is best for her to kind of conform. So if the child feels under the circumstances, maybe the way the relationship is going, it's better for her or him to obey the mother, then the child is going to automatically, in one way or another, eventually disrespect you. So you need to understand that these things happen and you need to prepare for them. In fact, I would advise anybody, before you get into a relationship with anyone, try and find out what kind of personality they have. Try and see if you can see them angry, see them sad, see them depressed, see them when they don't have money, see them when they've just experienced failure, see them when they become very successful and think they are doing extremely well. Try to see them when they are in situations that are very different from what you call the normal. That way you know what kind of extremes in terms of behavior they are capable of, and therefore you now know how to probably anticipate what you are likely to get from them when they become your partner. If you wait to discover that after you've already tied the knot with them, it can be very, very dangerous. And I'm telling you from experience. Yes, so it's important to keep this in mind. The child will respect you if in the home there's a semblance of normalcy in the relationship you have with your partner. But if you have a partner that by nature will want to use the child against you, don't expect therefore that the child will just be respecting you just like that, even though you are deserving of it. Because the other partner, there's something called parental alienation. I've mentioned it several times. I'm probably going to do a video on it. And under that circumstance where the goal of your partner is to alienate you from your children, one of the ways it will manifest is the child is respecting you even though you're not deserving of such treatment. It can happen. So the fact that you are showing love to the child, in fact, you continue to show love to the child, and the child will continue to disrespect you. It's an act of self-preservation for the child. Maybe the child perceives that, oh, I'm living with my father, so if I disobey him now and I don't do what he says I should do to my mother, when I get home he will deal with me. So let me just do it, even though I don't love it. So in her heart or in his heart, he doesn't want to cause pain to the mother, but he does it because he doesn't want the father to be angry with him, and he knows his father that's going to feed him tonight. The same thing, if the children are living with the mother and they are made to disrespect the father, the same thing can happen. Because if the father is not a violent person, then they know that, oh, if I do it, my daddy will not beat me. But they know that the mother she can pour hot water on the child. She can use an object to hit the child, and the child knows, but they know that the father will not be like that. They know that the father is more capable of exercising self-restraint. So the child will just go ahead and do what the mother wants and hope for the best. So it's usually the child is just like the victim in the midst of two parents that are at loggerheads, in conflict. So under such a situation, you cannot expect a child to behave normally by way of giving respect to whom it is due. It will not happen. It's very unlikely to happen. So that's one exception anyway. I just wanted to point it out. Now let's listen to my full message.